Hello, I'm Commissioner Thomas Hicks with the United States Election Assistance Commission. February is Black History Month. As part of the EAC's recognition of this month, I will be interviewing some Black election officials about their experiences in the field serving all Americans, voters across this country. Today, I am pleased to speak with Lance Gough, who recently retired as Executive Director of the Chicago Board of Election Commissioners. Lance, I think there's a lot to learn from you and your years of public service. And so I want to thank you for taking the time out of your retirement to reflect on your public service and your years as a public official. So I've known you for a long time. I didn't want to say the exact number of years, but can you give us some of the background of how you got your start in elections?
I certainly can, and it was all by accident. It was 42 years ago. I came to Chicago, and because I had family, some cousin, my uncle was here who I was very close to, and I said, well, I got to do something. So I knew it was near election time, and I knew all election jurisdictions hire part-time employees. So I went to sign up, and like I said, that was 42 years ago. So they kept me on, and I worked my way up the ranks. And 32 years ago, I became the executive director, and I was the executive director for over 32 years at the Chicago Board of Election, which was an experience that nobody could top. I mean, because of being the executive director to the Chicago Board, I went on to being president of IACRIAT. I've traveled the world. I've traveled to Russia, China, Albania twice, the Mideast. I mean, it's just been a very exciting time. And I'm just very proud that I got the opportunity to do that.
That's amazing. That's truly amazing. What were some of the obstacles that you faced in your career? 32 years is a long time to be in one position, and I'm sure that you've faced a lot of obstacles. And how did you overcome those obstacles?
When I first, the Chicago Board has a three board members, and two of the board members picked me as executive director, and one board member did not want me to have the job. He thought I was a little radical on making some changes, and was not happy at all. In fact, he tried to get me removed, but if it wasn't for some of my friends at Operation Push, United Spanish Leadership Council, all the community groups that I've been associated with, all came down to City Hall, and the mayor made a comment to the one commissioner and says, you know, it's either Lance stays or you go. And like I said, I had 32 years in this.
Oh, that's great. That's great. How did you increase voter participation or participation with the voting process?
You know, that when I became executive director, Harold Washington, our first African-American mayor, he called me into his office, and it was in the morning. And if anybody knew Harold Washington, he loved big breakfasts. So he's eating breakfast. And he says, come on in, Gough, sit down, have something to eat. And I said, no, I'm okay, Mr. Mayor. He says, you know, I saw what you're planning on doing with the Chicago Board. Everybody's pleased. And I just want to give you these words of wisdom. He says, if you take care of the community will take care of you. And I've always kept those words to heart. And what happened this last election with the pandemic, we teamed up with all of our community folks, every different community agency, Operation Push, Vote Chicago, NAACP, you name it. We all included everybody in a room and said, look, this election's going to be difficult. What do we need to do to get it done? And they went out and registered hundreds of thousands of people. And plus, we did a mailing to all the households and mailed out applications for ballot. And in the primary, we voted about 173,000 vote by mail. For the November election, it was almost 530,000. So it was a big turnout. You know, there was problems around the United States. People were talking about, you know, elections being stolen, a lot of things. We had a very open, I wanted everybody to come in. You want to watch us count them? Come on in. We got another 90,000 square feet, and they had people out there where we had watchers come in and actually watch. And the first day we had about 50. Second day it was down to about 20, and then near the last day it was 5. I mean, because they saw the process, they believed in what we were doing, and it worked out very well.
One of the things that I would love to see people do who have little faith in the process is to actually volunteer as poll workers. And so I'm hoping that, you know, what you were saying about having people come in and watch the process, they can also come in and be a part of the process. And I'm sure that you've done a lot in your history of ensuring that more people were able to serve as poll workers or election workers moving forward. What were some of the differences that you saw in the elections process or election administration during the 2016 election as compared to the 2020 election?
Well, 2016, COVID wasn't an issue. And in Chicago, there are a lot of people that will wait in line to vote, which always bothered me. Some of the lines you had, we started opening super sites because I did not want to see people standing out in the cold. So we did super sites, we did early voting sites. We started working on that in 2016. And it worked out very well. In fact, you were here in 2016 when we had the super site down at the old Walgreens building. Mm-hmm. And, you know, then we met with the Postal Service to see about getting additional people. I mean, getting the process moving as fast as possible. And I was very fortunate that the Postal Union met with us. And they told us that no matter what happens, whatever election, we're behind you. And they did an excellent job. I mean, how could you ask for anything else? The post office, their rank and file, make sure that everything will get delivered.
That is amazing. And thank you again for the invitation to come to Chicago to watch the rollout of the voting equipment in that huge facility that was, you're saying it was a former Walgreens. Because I'll never forget that day, because I think all Chicagoans will probably not forget that day because of what happened, you know, which didn't happen for 108 years in that city. And that was, we were actually there the day that the Cubs won the World Series. Yeah. What does Black History Month mean to you?
You know, it means a lot. Like I said, being African American and a lot of people that I know, and of all races, all colors, understand what that means for everybody to be open. I mean, we need to share our thoughts and our ideas. If you saw what happened in 2020 with the racial divide, it'll actually destroy this nation. And that's what I just hope that with the new administration, that they are open to everybody. And that's something that I'm praying for. I really am. But like I said, Harold Washington was great. In fact, I lived only a block away from him, and every once in a while he'd drive by my condo, and they'd honk out and call me and said, "Come on, get a ride." So I knew if I took a ride with Harold Washington, we'd have to stop off for breakfast first. But he was a wonderful man, and he taught me a lot. And some of the organizations that I belong to, the original 40 Club is set up in 1918 by 25 African-American men that could not go to hotels or nice restaurants. So what they did is they'd get dressed up in their tuxedos and go to each other's house and eat and have a club meeting, play cards, talk, watch TV, that type of stuff. And that club is still going on today. And it's those are the kind of things that we need to cherish. You need to cherish your memories of people that came up through the ranks. And I just hope that the rhetoric and problems from this last election, we can soothe those wounds and make it a lot better. I really do.
Lance, that's truly amazing. And I want to thank you for all your public service, 42 years working in Chicago and 32 years as the executive director of the Chicago Board of Election Commissioners. This is truly amazing. And thank you for your insight on this. Is there anything you want to add before we leave the video?
Yes. In fact, I was one of the first people there when the EAC was formed. And I walked in and I was so proud to see my friends coming to the EAC when you got on the board. It's been great. And it's been great working with the EAC. It's been a great organization. And I remember one time there were budget cuts that were being made. And luckily that we had a president from Chicago, Barack Obama. And when I heard the budget cuts, I was invited to I wanted to be invited to the White House to have coffee. Instead, he met me at a restaurant. I said, hey, this isn't impressive at all. But I know we had information and we talked about the EAC, and he says, the EAC will be taken care of. And it was. And I'm just glad that everything has gone as well as it has.
Great, great. Well, I want to thank you for being a true ally to the EAC, for your years of service on the Board of the Standards Board, and for inviting us when we were reconstituted for us to hold our first Board of Advisors meeting in Chicago. That was truly amazing, and it was great to get the agency back up and running with your help. So with that, I want to thank you again. I want you to enjoy retirement, but know that we will be calling on you for additional help as we move forward, because elections happen, as you know, every year in this country. There's some sort of election, or every week there's some sort of election going on. So, we're not going to wait till the next federal election to call on you for help. But I want to thank you again. Enjoy retirement, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, Chairman Hicks. Commissioner Hicks. And just to let you know, when you call, I'll be there.
Thank you.